almost 5 to 10% of breast cancers could be attributed to hereditary factors. Most of us are aware of the BRCA1 and 2 genes, which, if inherited from a family member, do increase your risk of not only getting breast cancer, but various other cancers such as ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, to a variable degree.
What do you think is the most promising clinical research, clinical trial going on in this field?
There are many research works going on targeting different areas of breast cancer. The predisposition to breast cancer is one such area. The attempt is being made to combine all these modalities. The research is also ongoing to find a way to either de-escalate or escalate the treatment. Everybody does not need the same set of treatment. One size does not fit all. So basically, we are trying more and more to find out as to what could be done to tailor-made a treatment for a given breast cancer patient. Over past 25 years of my experience in medical oncology, I've witnessed myself so many newer drugs, improvements in the supportive care or palliative care treatment as well. The patients living much better, much longer. Stage 4 patients should continue to be very optimistic. A lot of newer molecules have come up in form of tablets with very impressive results. Everybody does not warrant the use of injectable chemotherapies. So future does look bright to me with this active research going on.
Breast cancer is the most common cancer in India. It accounts for over 27% of all cancers. 1 in 28 women would be developing breast cancer during her lifetime. Traditionally, we have been treating breast cancer with the help of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. Depending on the tumor size, the tumor grade, staging of the disease. But with the advent of molecular and genetic testing, precision oncology came into being. And it is changing the whole landscape of how we treat the breast cancer patient. Today, we are here to discuss this important topic of precision oncology in breast cancer. To discuss this, we have with us Dr. Jyoti Wadhwa. Dr. Jyoti Wadhwa is a senior medical oncologist with over 25 years of experience. She has done her MD and DM from AIIMS, Delhi. She has received Commonwealth Scholarship for Advanced Training at Imperial College London and is also a Fellow of Royal College of Physicians, Edinburgh. Welcome, Dr. Jyoti. I'm so delighted to welcome you.
Thank you, Dr. Manisha, for having me today.
So, Dr. Jyoti, my first question to you is that how was breast cancer diagnosed earlier and how is it being diagnosed nowadays?
So, very important question because diagnosis is the first step that we take towards the treatment of breast cancer. Over the years, the diagnosis of breast cancer has really changed. So in early 20th century, where we were still limited to diagnosing breast cancer with the palpation of a breast lump, subsequently we had the X-ray mammography, which over the years changed to digital mammography, and now we have tomomammography. We are also incorporating the use of artificial intelligence in the way we interpret mammograms these days. We have, in addition, the simple ultrasound of the breast, advanced MRI of the breast called MR mammography to diagnose to help us diagnose breast cancer. And you'll be surprised that even at the diagnostic level, even in the way we diagnose now, we are including the molecular oncology or the precision oncology in further redefining the molecular subtypes of breast cancer. We have incorporated genetic testing and the next generation sequencing or the comprehensive genomic profiling has become a routine in breast cancer now.
That's so good to know, ma'am. And since we have so many biomarkers, we have so many diagnostic modalities, so I think the way we have been managing breast cancer has totally changed. So I would like to know that how conventionally you used to manage the patients earlier.
So as you mentioned in the beginning, that conventionally breast cancer has been treated with surgery, hormonal therapy, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. Now, over the years, there have been refinements in all these three techniques. The surgical techniques have refined. The chemotherapy, the newer drugs are now available We are now just not limited to treating breast cancer with chemotherapy as a part of medical treatment, but we also have targeted therapies, we have immunotherapy, we have newer molecules like antibody drug conjugates now. And all these newer, more refined treatments are letting patients live not only much longer, but a much better quality of life.
Right, ma'am. And you are talking about like the hormonal therapy and the chemotherapy. So how do you decide that which, treatment modalities to be used, whether a single hormonal therapy is to be given or both are to be given? So how do you decide that?
So, conventionally, we need a biopsy to diagnose not only the breast cancer, but also to further subtype it. So, we have been doing over past many years, and we continue to do it still, the testing for estrogen receptor, the progesterone receptor, both being the hormone receptors. We also test the tumor for HER2/neu, the epidermal growth factor receptor. In addition, we do further refinements in the testing. We look for the proliferative index, what we call Ki67. Now, over the years, what has changed in terms of the molecular testing or biomarker testing is that we use certain tests such as PDL1 to decide whether the patient could be eligible for immunotherapy. We are also carrying out genetic tests or the molecular tests on the tumor itself. Another big thing which has changed over the years is the advent of liquid biopsy. So, all it needs is that you draw a blood sample of the patient and do the same test on the blood sample itself. So, it is almost non invasive compared to a conventional tissue biopsy and can help us not only in the beginning but during the course of the illness to refine our treatments.
Right. You have talked about the molecular testing in the tumor. I believe that genetic makeup of the patient is very important, ma'am, for the hereditary cancer. Can you tell us something about it?
Very true. Almost 5 to 10% of breast cancers could be attributed to hereditary factors. So, most of us are aware of the BRCA1 and 2 genes, which, if inherited from a family member, do increase your risk of not only getting breast cancer, but various other cancers such as ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer to a variable degree over lifetime. But besides these two very important genes, there are other genetic alterations which are important, such as PALB2, CHEK2, and ATM. And over the years, we have learned that actually breast cancer is not a single disease. It's a very heterogeneous disease, and there are various subtypes possible when we carry out the molecular tests or the genetic tests.
Right. And immunotherapy is coming up in a big way. It is taking a lot of, attention, and with PDL1 inhibitors, immune check inhibitors into being. So, how do you think that it's important for the treatment of breast cancer patients?
So, immunotherapy has turned out to be a major advance in the treatment of many cancers, including breast cancers. So, it led to Dr. James Ellison getting Nobel Prize for it. So, what immunotherapy basically does is that cancer cells they learn to evade the immune mechanisms of our body. So, immunotherapy unlocks these immune cells of our body, the T lymphocytes, and then these lymphocytes go and attack the cancer cells and kill them. So, it's a very beautiful concept. And we have realized that immunotherapy does work in breast cancer as well, especially in a subtype of breast cancer called the triple negative breast cancer. We are already using immunotherapy both in early stage and in the stage 4 disease. And studies are ongoing to explore the utility of immunotherapy in the other subtypes also, such as hormone receptor positive subtype, the HER2/neu positive breast cancer subtype, and the combination of immunotherapy with various other treatments such as chemotherapy, various other targeted therapies is also under research.
Right, ma'am. And targeted therapy, of course, that it targets the HER2 positive cancers. So, HER2 positive is another biomarker which is very important. So, tell us something about targeted therapy.
Right. So, HER2/neu positivity or overexpression can be seen in almost 15 to 20% of all the breast cancer patients. and it provides a huge opportunity to target these receptors with the use of specific HER2 targeted therapies. So over the years, we have had the monoclonal antibodies, the tyrosine kinase inhibitors targeting the HER2 receptors, and we have more recently got antibody drug conjugates. So these various drugs, they work in different ways, and you'll be surprised to know that wherein earlier we were limiting our treatments to only HER2 new, say 3+ patients on immunohistochemistry, now we have defined another two categories called HER2 low and HER2 ultra low. So the patients who were earlier labeled as HER2 new negative actually are not really negative, and they could be divided into HER2 low or HER2 ultra low, and therefore could benefit from these antibody drug conjugates.
Surprising. I would like to ask you about the PARP inhibitors as well, since you have told us about BRCA1, BRCA2, and the hereditary cancers. So, how are these PARP inhibitors important in breast cancer patients?
So PARP inhibitors, I would say, are a very important group of targeted therapies. They are based on the principle of synthetic lethality, wherein we harness the BRCA-ness or exploit the BRCA-ness of the tumor. And if the tumor has BRCA-ness, as indicated by positivity for BRCA1 and 2 genes, and also PALB2 and a few other changes, then these patients could benefit with the addition of PARP inhibitors. And we have seen them being used when the patients have residual disease after not attaining pathological complete remission with the use of neoadjuvant chemotherapy. They're also useful in the treatment of patients who have stage 4 disease but have BRCA mutation present in them. So all these drugs have definitely contributed to improvements in the outcome of breast cancer.
Right, ma'am. So, what do you think is the most promising clinical research, clinical trial going on in this field, and what do you think is the future?
So it's not just one. There are many research works going on targeting different areas of breast cancer. The predisposition to breast cancer is one such area. The attempt is being made to combine all these modalities. The research is also ongoing to find a way to either de-escalate or escalate the treatment. Everybody does not need the same set of treatment. One size does not fit all. So basically, we are trying more and more to find out as to what could be done to tailor-made a treatment for a given breast cancer patient, so that the patient gets the complete or full benefit and simultaneously suffers the least of side effects. So that's the way we are moving on and moving forward. So a lot of research going on. And I'm sure, myself, over past 25 years of my experience in medical oncology, I've witnessed myself so many newer drugs, improvements in the supportive care or palliative care treatment as well. The patients living much better, much longer. Stage 4 patients should continue to be very, very optimistic. A lot of newer molecules have come up in form of tablets with very impressive results. Everybody does not warrant the use of injectable chemotherapies. So future does look bright to me with this active research going on.
Right. And ma'am, Feb being the National Cancer Prevention Month, I would like to ask you that how can we prevent breast cancer?
I would say this is the most important question because we know that prevention is definitely better than cure.
Yes.
And we know that cancer is predominantly a lifestyle-related disease. And breast cancer obviously is, to a large extent, a lifestyle-related disease. So there are various non-modifiable risk factors, and we can't do anything about them, such as the genetic makeup of a person, or family history or personal history of breast cancer, the age. We can't modify them. But there are many modifiable risk factors, I would say, for breast cancer, which we should be aware of. Because if we take care of those modifiable risk factors, there's a lot in terms of risk reduction which is possible. So avoid alcohol, because alcohol is known to cause breast cancer. Stay active. Keep your weight under control through healthy diet and regular exercise. avoid hormone replacement therapies, and do undergo the cancer screening tests as is indicated as per the guidelines. Do consult your doctor or an oncologist to find out what's the best screening test for you as regards breast cancer.
That's so insightful, ma'am. And I also believe that precision oncology coming into being, we can target, and personalize the treatment of every patient of breast cancer. And definitely your insight about how we can prevent breast cancer is so useful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Manisha. Thank you.